Welcome back to my next playthrough series, the one voted on for June this year, 2024. We will be doing Folklore the Affliction, the Anniversary Edition. And from what I can understand, it looks like the Anniversary Edition just included a gargantuan bunch of items as actual cards instead of having to write them down on a piece of paper. So I think that's the difference. And I don't know if the rules have been cleaned up at all. But we are going to be learning the rules as we play, because it's the first time I'm playing it. Looks really cool. You got this overland map, which is actually not overly huge. And then you have and when you get into actual encounters, there is a layover maps that you put down and run the encounter. So we're starting off at the Church of the Crossroads. We will be doing Story 1. Which, if you take a look in the story journal, the adventure begins, and we'll be playing with 2 characters. I know, everything I've read, you're supposed to play with 3, but you know what, just for space purposes, we're going to be playing this story 1 with 2 characters, so we'll see how that goes. They get an extra few bonuses to begin each chapter of the story. So we're into chapter 1. So let's take a look at our 2 characters, and then we'll just get into some gameplay, because it's basically a choose your own adventure. You go into this, you start reading what's happening, you make some choices, you do some things, and we'll learn as we go. So let's take a look at the 2 characters. I've chosen the Avenging Madman and the Anarchist, no, the Arcanist. Alright, so there's a whole bunch going on here, and basically, we'll get into all the details as we play, but each of your characters has some starting equipment, so we start with the bail hook, and we'll explain how this all works when we get into skirmishes and battles. Basically does a 1d4 plus 1 damage, it's one-handed, it's a melee weapon, plus 5 to might. Worth 10 coins if you buy it somewhere, but he starts with it, the Madman starts with that, and he also starts with bandages. And we get a bonus bandage because we're playing 2 players, so instead of just getting 1, you get 2. The game does not come with miniatures, it comes with standees, but I'm going to use some D&D miniatures, so I'm going to use this guy as our Madmartigan Avenging Madman. And there's a booklet. The other thing you start with 2-player is a boon. So, and this will make sense. Add d6 to any die roll. So he got that boon randomly. And you can randomly grab a companion. So I chose a companion militia for him. So he's got a soldier with him, plus 5 defense, plus 1 damage to melee attacks. It all makes sense as we play the game. So that's the starting equipment. And then there's a whole booklet for each character. As you level up, gaining experience through lore, you get to choose options. At the very beginning of the game, I'm not going to go through all the details, he's basically an Avenging Madman. You can either choose the Avenger class or the Savage class. I'm going to choose the Avenger class. So your newfound purpose is to avenge those that have perished at the hands of evil once per story. Choose an option. You may not change it until the next story. So we can have the Avenger gives all our characters fighting the same foe as he is a plus 1 damage in melee, or at the start of an encounter put a tracking token on a target. As long as you do not change targets, you inflict plus 1 damage against it. So this is our little tracking target. So we're going to go ahead and do that option as the Avenger, and there's a whole bunch of information here. So this basically, inside the little booklet, it shows you your starting cards. So we can look at those. So it's basically once per round. It will cost a power point. So our characters have power points as well. So they have Vita, which is their health, defense. That's the number enemies have to roll above on a D100 to hit you. Plus 5 might is what you add to your attack rolls. Plus 2 damage. So he just does a plus 2 damage. He has 5 power points. And he has skills. He has Ecology 2. There's checks that you have to make in the game, and Nerve plus 2. And then there's nothing at the bottom. And I'm using some Gloomhaven counters here to track everything. So he starts off with 23 health, basically, and 5 power points. So that's what I put on here, if these dials will stay. Otherwise, there's these dumb little cards that you're supposed to put. You see these arrows here on the side of your character. That seems really fiddly, and it's going to get in the way of all of his other stuff, as far as I can see. And so he's got keep it coming. And these are specific to, of course, that particular character. Ignore 1d4 damage from an attack usable during a skirmish once a round. So again, costing a power point. So you have to spend a power point for these, and there you go. And then there's locations. We'll get into all this stuff as we go. All right, the second character we're playing with is the, I want to call her the Anarchist. It's the Arcanist. She also gets to choose a companion. She chose an animal companion randomly, so she's got a dove, +1 trickery for rolls, and +1 to search rolls. Cool. There we go, animal ranged. The boon that she got extra for playing 2-player, recover all power points. That was an awesome one for her to draw. We'll look at this stuff in her booklet. And she got to draw a random ritual. And the one she got is Arcane Ward. She has to make an Occult 7 test to actually pull it off. It's summon a ward that absorbs arcane energies unleashed against one of your allies. Attacks cannot damage your target ally for 3 rounds. So that's going to be nicely mated up with our Avenging Madman, because she can cast that on him and he can wade right in and start going crazy and not have to worry about taking damage for 3 rounds. And so we are going to be playing the Seeker for our Arcanist. I'm not going to, again, read through all of this. And I'm using this D&D mini for her. I can't remember. It's just, the hair looked about the same, so I thought, you know what, this is going to work. Plus she has a stiletto dagger, and this is kind of more like a sword than a dagger, but we'll go with it. I think it'll work. So she's a Seeker. The Seeker has 2 auras she can use. As long as she has unspent power, the auras are represented by double-sided token, light and dark side, and that's this one here. So we got the light side aura, the dark side aura. Yeah. So once per encounter, so when you get into a map location, you have to do an encounter, the Seeker may activate one of her auras. Each aura is aura 1 and lasts for 4 rounds. The light aura is a circle protection giving absorption 1, which means taking away 1 damage from enemies, and allies in an aura get +5 defense. So that would be cool for Mad Mardigan here. But of course, this aura 1, so I can't remember how far the aura extends. I think it is just 1 hex away from her diagonally and/or. So we'll see if that works. This is not stacked with other absorption bonuses. Usable during a skirmish. Let's see how that works as well. And the dark aura causes a damage to all foes that move into the aura on their turn. So I believe it is just a range of 1. And she has 21 Vita, 37 defense, not quite as good, +3 might, +2 damage bonus as well. 5 power points, 4 stride. Oh, I forgot stride. That's how far they can move hexes on the hex boards or on the world map. And her skills are Archaeology +1, Nerve +1. Her starting equipment's the Stiletto, bandages of which she gets 2 because we're single player. I already showed you her boon. Oh, and there are keywords as well. So Forbidden, Learned, Mythos. His keywords are Fierce and Revenge. And they'll come into play as we read through the booklet and see what happens. She's got Mystic Knowledge Rituals. He has Mystic Knowledge none. So there we go. Her special ability, Resist the Change. You have created powerful wards against dark magic affecting the land. You can never be transformed. Yeah, there's a bunch of nasty things that can happen to you. His special ability is Insanity. You're compelled to fling yourself into melee combat, making you unable to use ranged weapons. You can never be deranged. Well, he's already deranged. Anyway, so, and because he has a soldier with him, he gets +5 defense and +1 damage on melee attacks. So his melee attacks are going to be doing +3 damage. Okay, that's a lot about the startup for the characters. So I guess let's just get into the storybook and try and figure out what's going on. And yes, there's a whole pile of dice. There's 6-sided, 10-sided. We're rolling 10-sided dice basically on checks, and higher is better. There's a 10. Zeros are 10s, and of course. And then there's some cubes that come in the game for different things. There's red 10-sided. There's percentile dice, so you've got like 70s, 30s. So if you roll the 2 of these, you end up getting like would be 10, so that would be 16%. If you roll 0, 0, if you roll zeros on both of the dice, like if you roll that and you roll that, that counts as 100, not 0. So there we go. All right, I'm going to get this book out here, and we're going to start looking at it, starting on Chapter 1. All right, so let's take a look here. So we're on Story 1. I call it Chapter 1. We're Story 1. Everything changes. So it's dusk. Church of the Crossroads, 90 minutes. Dusk is the easy level of the game. There's certain benefits and stuff that you get for being in dusk, and we'll see what that means when we get to it. Church of the Crossroads. So we start here. We got this little meeple. You can just see at the bottom of the screen we are at currently the Church of the Crossroads. And it's basically saying chapter 1 takes about 90 minutes, but because we're trying to learn the game, it's probably going to be quite a few videos. We'll figure out how it works. So game setup tutorial. So yeah, we're going to kind of go through the tutorial, try and learn the game as we go. So choose a focus for each character. I've kind of gone through all this. So we're Seeker for the Arcanist, and we are the Avenger. So we've done that. Chapter 1 begins as the leader. Leadership changes whenever a story. So our leader will be our Arcanist, and there is this token. Now it starts on the day side, so night side, day side. So our Arcanist is our starting character. So, the arrival. You have traveled far, entering a territory of mountains and hills, forests and ancient paths. As you near your destination, an oppressive veil descends and the sky becomes dim. The stagecoach you hired approaches an old stone building with a belfry and enormous arched wooden doors, whose scrollwork tells tales of horror and redemption. The coach rolls to a stop and you exit to stand before the Church of the Crossroads. The church is an age-old monument of gateway to this ancient mountainous territory. As you near the wooden doors to head inside, you hear sounds of a struggle from within. Entering the church, you see an old curator cowering at the hands of highwaymen. The highwaymen are ragged and filthy, with the dangerous edge of the desperate. They demand food and valuables. So now they're telling us we need to do a skill check. So this is a skill check tutorial. At this point, your group must make a skill check. In this case, one character has to pass Speech 8. Roll a d10 and any bonuses under speech. If it's 8 or higher, you've succeeded, you chase the highwaymen away. If you fail, the group must skirmish with them. So let's figure out how this works. We have to make a roll on speech. So let's figure out who's got speech and what the roll is going to be. Alright, well, neither character has the speech as an actual ability. So you take a look at, like, Madmartigan here, Avenging Madman. He has ecology and he has nerve. He does not have speech. So, and same with the Arcanist. Arcanist? She has archaeology, nerve, and occult. She does not have speech. So we need an 8 to succeed. We're going to give it a try. We'll use one of these little bone dice. We'll have our Arcanist try and calm... Well, yeah. We'll have the Arcanist try to calm them down, and we'll see what happens. We need an 8, 9, or 10. And we get a 9! Holy God! Alright, well, with a 9, she succeeds. So let's take a look in the storybook and see what happens when we succeed. So, any one character, so our Arcanist did the check. Convince the highwaymen to leave peacefully. Success! You exert control and ask them to leave. They realize that the curator is not easy pickings and decide to take their trouble elsewhere. Gain a boon. Cool. And so we have this big stack. So she's going to get another boon. That's right on. So we have this big stack of random boons. We'll just grab this one. So she gets recover all PowerPoint. She's got that twice. Oh, that is so cool. Because her whole thing is basically using PowerPoints for her Seek the Chakra and Runic dice. Cool. All right. Continuing on in the storybook. So, yeah, we go over, flip the page, and we're going to see what else carries on from there. Okay, so we carry on. So there's a chapter skirmish table. So if we get into a random encounter during this particular chapter for the first part, then we're going to roll on this table on a d10. Alright, so basically, as the curator thanks you for driving the brigands away and for saving the church from being burglarized, he explains that the area has begun to attract an unsavory element. But there are calamities far worse to the north. He says, the priest received this a few days ago. He left immediately to investigate. Without warning, he lifts the covering from a table, revealing a bloody mass of fur and flesh. So we need nerve, all characters, story check. So we have to make another check, a nerve check. This time, Madmartigan, I do believe, has nerve, so he gets +2. So he needs a 2+. And unfortunately, Arcanist is looking at this grisly thing. She does not have... Oh no, she has nerve +1. What am I talking about? So she gets +1. So she basically needs a 3+. She gets an 8. And our Madmartigan crazy person just needs a 2. And he gets a 7. So neither of them are freaked out by this grisly mess that they see. Let's continue on in the book. Okay, so continuing on. Success. You steady yourself against the revolting sight. You become Centered and recover 1 Vita. Well, they didn't get damaged at all. They chased the brigands away. Alright, so and there'd be failure. And carrying on with the story. After recovering from the shock of such a disgusting sight, you examine it more closely. It seems unnatural. The curator explains, wolves have been seen devouring people in the north. A group of Ostalink hunters tracked this one down. But no matter how many arrows and spear tips pierced its flesh, it would not stop moving. They brought it to the alchemist first, believing it was bewitched by some evil curse. Its form shifted and changed periodically in startling phases. It only stopped after the stone was removed from its stomach. A stone. He points to a small pebble encased in glass on a pedestal near the table. Neither the priest or alchemist know what it is. They fear it is related to the source of the trouble in the north. Go to Ostalink to seek out the missing priest and inquire of the people where they found this creature. It's of dire importance that you find the wolf lairs, or the wolf beast's lair. Here are a few coins to help you with your journey. You're welcome to rummage through the old cellar. See if you can find something useful to take with you. Return with news when you found the priest. Attention! So each character receives a coin from the curator, so we basically up to 2 gold. Draw 2 item cards to find out what you discovered in the church's cellar. Up to you to decide which character receives the items. If you can't decide, use a die roll-off. And it says, outside, you board the waiting stagecoach, which hastens you on the journey to Ostalink. So I think for today we're going to leave it off there, but we do get a couple of gold. I'm going to get out my gold coins, and then we're going to come back, shuffle up with this humongous, absolutely ridiculous sized item deck, and grab a couple items. We'll be right back with that. Alright, so it's going to be party gold. So we get a couple of coins. Yes, I got pirate treasure. But anyway, we'll use those as the gold coins. Again, these are things that you have to write down on a piece of paper. And I'm like, you know what? I got some plastic here. Let's use it. Alright, we're going to get 2 items as well. So I'm going to take each item deck. Oh my god, these are just... because it's all the same items. We get 2 of them. And... let's hope we get some good stuff. I don't know. So, first item is going to be this one. I don't know what it is, but we're going to find out here in a second. And the second one, we'll shuffle this. Yeah. And there we go. Give this a shuffle. And here's our second item. All right, let's see what we found in the cellar of the church crossroads. And what did we find? The first item we found was a wooden stake. Okay. +1 damage to vampires and Nakuratu for 1 encounter, or +1 to stake a sleeping vampire. Great. And we also get a whip. Okay, range 2 exhaust to make target immobilized after a successfully attack. I think it should say after successfully attacking, or after making a successful attack. We understand what it means. It's a D4 damage, a one-handed weapon. It's a melee weapon, but it has a range of 2. You know, we're going to give the whip to Mad Mardigan. So now he's got a bale hook and a whip. That's crazy. And we're going to give the wooden stake to our anarchist, arcanist, and also our party 2 gold. Right on. So things are looking good. So when we come back tomorrow, we're going to be going into the world map, figuring out how that works, traveling around. We're trying to get to Ostalink. And I'm just going to zoom the camera out a little bit here so you can see what's going on with that. Alright, so currently we're at the Church of the Crossroads with our little meeple. I wonder if I should... Actually, I think these guys are too big to put on there. So we'll keep the little white meeple that comes with the game. So basically, road spaces are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can get to Wayland Point. Ostalink is way up here, and you can see it's a long ways away. Now, there's 2 things you can do. You can go along the road, and there's this huge deck of road encounters, and we'll get into that tomorrow. And there's also, you can go cross-country. You can just step on here. But when you go cross-country, you have off-road experiences, and they are a lot worse, generally speaking, I think. So that's going to be the end of our episode for today. So thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for your comments, subscriptions, likes. This is Folklore the Affliction, the Anniversary Edition, which I think, like I said, only comes with all the bonus item cards, which is pretty cool because bookkeeping in this game is a lot, apparently. A lot of writing. So I'm going to try to keep things as few words I have to write down as possible. Oh, and I forgot to mention, bandages actually recover 4 Vita. We don't have a healer in our party, so that could be pretty important. But we do get 2 each. Alright, well that's going to be it. Join me tomorrow, and we will continue on the adventure, and we're off on our way to Ostalink to try and find the priest. So thanks so much, and yeah, we'll pick it up again tomorrow.